oh boy, I want to do another one of these because today is Wednesday and the Starfinder group fell through, so I figured why not do another one of these. People like these, I like these. Today, you can already see the topic. It's Gestalt characters. I love Gestalts. I think they would be. I don't know how German does it. I think it's a German word at least. So the reason I like Gestalts is they're great. They. A quick note is that a lot of I've actually looked this up and I was like, how do people feel about this in Starfinder? As a quick note, in Starfinder things are generally more powerful and Gestalts are less useful because of archetypes. We'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, I'm just don't nerf it. There's a reason Gestalt works the way it does. If you want to make fancier archetypes, just make fancier archetypes. Don't do Gestalt and change it. That's not how a Gestalt's supposed to work. You're supposed to get something cool out of it. Then there was this idiot who was like, you should take the average. Dude, you do know that BAB is either half, 3/4, or full. Like, you can't do halves of those. That looks stupid. But that aside, what is a Gestalt? You can read this, or I can tell it to you. With a Gestalt, essentially you take two classes. You're multi-classing at the same level. So you're level 1, you're a fighter, and a mage. Bam. Congratulations, you're two things at once. Really nice in 3.5, because in 3.5, there's not a lot, like, everything is prestige classes. There's not a lot of crossover. The War Mage class is terrible. So you end up with a lot of, like, being sad. Now, Pathfinder's archetypes kind of make this less relevant. Let me pull this one up. So, in Pathfinder, you go to, say, Fighter. Let's pick Fighter. I always like the magical kind. And you go to archetypes. And there's all these archetypes, which all let you take things a little bit differently. And there's probably one which is like, you get to do magic. You got Aquanaut. Look at that. Look at that. You get Lore Warden. Damn. Look at all these exciting powers you can get. Eldritch Guardian. Look at this. Like, oh man, that's pretty cool. Oh, that's awesome. That's actually kind of cool. But yeah, like, with archetypes, you don't really need, oh well, Corsair. I remember that, that one Al-Qadim game is like, Corsair! It's just fucking ridiculous. You want to do Corsair? Oh. Damn. Wow, like, these are awesome. This, however, is not. Because this does not work in most... But anyway, like, Gestalts don't work as well, but you can still do them. Here's a couple of tips if you're going to go Gestalt in Pathfinder. Tip number 1, try to limit archetypes, and tip number 2, make sure people know what the fuck they're doing, because they're going to fuck up real fucking bad. So, a big thing with Gestalts that people tend to forget is you can do it two ways. You can make a thematically interesting character. Doing a wizard fighter is a terrible idea, because you can't use armor. Because that interferes with your spellcasting, so you're kind of balancing. Not to mention, your distribution is going to be weird, because you want strength for your weapons unless you're going to go with weapon finesse. So you're balancing a lot of stuff at that point. Oh, I love this. I love that I actually got some more of this. That makes sense. Fucking 3.5. Why did you skip this opportunity? But yeah, so if you're 3rd level, you get everything up to level 3 from one and from the other. So that's really nice. It's really cool, ain't it? You get the highest BAB. So fighter is a good one to pick because you get full BAB. You get a whole bunch of stuff that makes you more durable. You get a lot of flexibility to your character that you otherwise wouldn't have. But what you're going to mix it with is important as well. Because everything stays separate. If you're a sorcerer and a wizard, and I love this about Gestalt, it actually tells you why that's a good idea. Class skills get to hear everything. Class features, you get to take the best of either. That you take the faster progression. So if you have a rogue in another class that gets sneak attack, you only get the rogue sneak attack, because rogue is the fastest usually. Take the higher hit die, get the better saving throws. You can just end up. Like, it actually says you want to pick monk, because monk is great on the barbarian. And no prestige class also sort of a limitation. Like, look at these. Monk, cleric. Yep. So, monk is kind of a funky one. Monk works really well with any caster class because monk doesn't have any weapons or armor. So any caster class, like, whatever! The downside of this is... downside of Paladin and Sorcerer, I don't know how they exactly work. But again, Paladins are kind of the buffier, the beefier fighters, so... It's again, you can go two ways. You can min-max, so you can take Barbarian or Monk and mix it in with a Mage and get this incredibly tough character. But again, let's go back to why and when. I like that this one says it's actually just +1. It's not that much of a deal, because you still only have so many actions. Oh, that's cool. But the main time you want to use this, the main time you really want to throw in a couple of Gestalts is you've got 3 or less players. With 1 player, do it. Just give them a lot of ability score points, just throw all around they want, or let them roll some really strong rolls, like say minimum modifier of +6, or give them a whole bunch of points to freely spend. Because if you're going Gestalt as one person, you need to cover a lot of ground unless you're min-maxing it to crazy shit town. Yeah, like here. As a bonus, you're literate level 1. The only downside, you can't cast spells on a raid. That's pretty cool. So I like how they recommend these, but again, in Pathfinder, things are very different. Classes are differently set up. I forgot about precursor rare cantrips. That's neat. There's also a lot more classes. Again, I personally recommend try to avoid, if you're going to allow it, try to avoid having hybrids crossover. Try to avoid anything where someone is technically a fighter twice, or a caster twice. Sorcerer Wizard is fine, because as it says, Sorcerer Wizard, you just get a bunch of extra spells. You get so much spellcasting power. But you want to avoid any sort of primary crossover, like there's a legit crossover, because you're going to end up with a character that's just kind of doofy, and it just doesn't really make a lot of sense. The benefit is, if you're going with one person, you can easily do something like give them hero points every couple of days or something, like they just get them back, so that they can actually use all those actions. Instantly, you have a character that's a lot stronger, a lot beefier, a lot more effective, a lot more flexible, and he's just one dude. And he really feels like a hero. Like, the reason you want to go Gestalt is Gestalt, and mixing in some generous hero points, 2 or 1 person can really feel like this ultimate heroic duo, you know? Like, if you're going for a strong, you're going for a more upbeat, like, not as realistic, even if you're going realistic, like, once they run out of hero points, once they run out of their big beefy stuff, they're reliant on whatever they have left. Like, an anti-magic field bothers a Gestalt as much as anyone else if they've got casting abilities. Sure, he can go back to his old monkish ways, but that doesn't mean he's necessarily all that good off. His flexibility's cut down. He's basically just a monk with some wizarding crap in the background. Now, again, a lot more flexibility here, a lot more archetypes, a lot more coverage. I still think that it makes psionics so delicious, though. Because now, you can do a scion, and you can mix it in with a fighter. You've got a dangerous motherfucker. He's got full casting abilities at no consequence of his armor, and he can fight like a boss. Like, you can just see that kind of character in like a 1 or 2 party team, kicking ass. And that's what Gestalts are best for, is A, you're doing a high-powered campaign, it says so, you're in a high-powered campaign, or you've just not got enough people and you want to have coverage. Again, you can perfectly run a campaign with 1 wizard, 1 monk, 1 fucking commoner, because you're an idiot, but if you really wanna, and you wanna make him feel like superheroes, Gestalt is a fantastic way to make them superheroes without doing too much. The downside is, Gestalts are complicated. Managing them is a lot more difficult and complicated for the player, because they don't have to keep track of 2 classes, they have to make a lot of choices, but they will be like, yeah, I get all this cool stuff. I feel so good about myself now. Whee! Is proficient with... Wow. To add some flavor to your commoners. Oh my god. That's cute. That's cute. But yeah, I think Gestalts have their place. They exist for a reason, and I really like it. It's one of my favorite things because, again, back in 3.5, I was like, I want to make this guy. I want to make a guy who can swing a sword, but I don't want to make an Eldritch Knight. Like, I want at level 5 to be able to sling some spells around and swing a sword, or have a Scion who isn't, have a Soul Knife who can actually do some fucking psionics. I hate that. I hate that so much. It makes me so angry. It really does. Like, in 3.5, the Soul Knife was such hot trash. And here, they actually made it kind of cool. Got all these blade skills that are pretty cool. Too bad that there's so many blade skills and all the cool stuff is up there. You're like, I want them now! Oh, it's actually good progression, too. That's the part that gets me the most. But yeah, you can do Gestalt, and it works great. It does miracles. One quick thing is some people might object because it's complex or they don't want too much strength. You can't really apply this in 4E because in 4E every character is one of 4 classes, so blending that over is really weird and complicates things. You can't do it in 5E because in 5E, it's 5E. It's really not that hard to get shit done. 5E is so cushioned in comparison that it's kind of weird to start doing it. You can just give him something. There's no reason to make him a wizard, is what I'm trying to say. Like, here, a wizard is exciting and weird. and everyone just constantly scowls at you. But in 5e, there's not as much reason. There's not as much reason to have someone who's just the cleric. Like, another reason you should do Gestalts is someone doesn't want to be the healer, and everyone's like, we need a healer. Just make the guy a cleric Gestalt, or give him all the cleric powers he needs to smack someone across the cheeks and give him healing, and let him be something else on the side. You know? Now you've got a wizard who also slings around a couple of healing spells from time to time. He's in good graces with the gods because he's a fucking idiot. He didn't want to be here, but now he is. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. But yeah, that's my little stay. I'm also onto this because I saw some forum threads and they were all like, let's balance out. No! If you're gonna go Gestalt, go for it. Have fun. If you like numbers, Gestalts are great. And that's why it doesn't work with 5e, because in 5e, there's not that many numbers. So there's no reason to do it. There's no numbers to support the system. Gestalts are because you want to be funky, because you want something weird. And yeah, like I said, I didn't even read this part, but yeah. If you mix this in with Mythic, and you're going with what I like to call Hero and Epic points. Hero points stay the same. They're just like extra actions, and Epic points are you get to basically cheat. Like hardcore cheat. Epic points are supposed to be super rare in my little GM system I'm working on. They're very rare. You're not going to get them unless you pull off something bullshit insane. But an Epic point essentially lets you cheat. You know how sometimes people like break the game because they kill the enemy too early? That's what an Epic point lets you do, and the GM doesn't get to complain. Because that's what an Epic point does, is you get to bullshit your way into something. You just fell 1 billion miles. Well, congratulations, there just happened to be a pile of feathers right down there, and you're perfectly fine. In fact, you're better off than before, because you learned a good lesson about life. Or you get to spend it on an ability score point. That's always nice. A Mythic is just bananas. I like Mythic more than Epic. I think Mythic works better because the thing about Mythic is it's a lot more oriented towards you're cool now. Whereas Epic was a lot more you get to be cool eventually. Also, yeah. The whole thing's great. One thing I do recommend, if you're gonna go with Gestalt, try to avoid making things complicated. Since you're already leveling up twice, you can theoretically go to another and just be you're a fighter, wizard, who's also a cleric ranger. Try to avoid that. Try to say, if you're going Gestalt, say you can pick 3 classes at most, unless you are an insane GM and you don't care about the flexibility you're giving them. Maybe a prestige class or 2, if you're feeling really fancy. But try to limit yourself. I'm trying to actually work on giving my players more levels up, because level ups and advancement are not things that happen often enough in my sessions, if only because we don't have them. Because one of the people involved today was sick, and another person was kind of on the iffy side because he had technical problems. It's sad, because I really want to do more and I get none of it. Ugh! On the plus side, I got a one-on-one, which is super fucking easy to get done. I hope that person doesn't hate it, because the group so far, like the way they seem to lean very heavily towards the side. Like, they really seem to lean on the I don't care side. And that makes me sad. Like, not that I can't play that, but it makes me like, you're gonna complain because I want to roll for stats. Like, he pulled up the whole, oh, I'm gonna be average. I'm like, no. If you actually rolled average, I'm gonna like you either be a ridiculously insane person who's like, you're average, but you're a jack of all trades, master of none, but you get some bonuses. Or, you know, give him a boost. Like, say, okay, you rolled perfect, you were perfect nothing. Technically speaking, I require a minimum of +4 or higher, because that's fun. So I'll just give every one of your stats +4. Now stop complaining. You are good at everything. And it's like, but that's a +12. And I'm like, well, you complain about the +0 and that's not a valid roll, so go fuck yourself. Don't ever do that to your players, to their face. That's not nice. And don't talk about behind their back either. My point is, they seem to be a lot more on the let's just have fun side, which, yes, I do. But the thing is that I'm also kind of a numbers guy. Oh, I'm the weird guy who's like, I say the rules, these are the rules, this is how this works. But at the same time, I'm the weirdo that lets people do something stupid. And I'll be like, you do it! Yay! You gotta break the ice first. Once the ice is broken, things are fine. But yeah, that's my feelings on Gestalt. I like Mythic, though. I think Mythic is fun because it's off to the side. And what it also adds is this whole new layer of weirdness. You get all these weird powers. It's cool. And Gestalts are cool because you get to be a lot of things at once. Your guy is super smart, and he's an alchemist. But you know what he can also do? He can also shoot a gun. So he'll either throw a bomb at you, or he'll shoot a bomb in his face, and then the bomb shoots shrapnel at you. That's what guns are. Just try to keep it in check. If you only got 2 people to play with, or only 1 person, make him Gestalts. Give him some Mythic. Give him some extra oomph. That way you have to be less concerned about balance because they're basically too strong. Also, a good tip, by the way, if you were having problems with your players being like, we're going to take a long rest every fucking minute, the 5-minute adventure day, here's a tip. Make it so that your players can't get certain types of things back unless they actually, like, put forth some fucking legwork. If you have a serious problem with 5-minute adventuring days, tie spells to special incense that is ridiculously expensive and requires money as they level up. So it's like, oh, you're level 10 wizard? Well, congratulations. You have to spend like 10,000 to get all of your spells back. It'll encourage them, A, to make more scrolls, and B, it kind of stops them from taking a break because they have to spend 10,000 to get that. And everyone has to spend a little bit of money on their HD to start piling in the hit points. Like, just give them a reason not to take the 5-minute break all the time without actually doing something first. Or tie it to progression. Like I said, you can just give players like 10 hero points, but they don't get any of it back until the next turn. And also a fun way to do it is to give your villain points and give him epic points as well. Like 1 epic point. One time the villain gets to pull a bullshit move that makes no sense, and your players are going to be like, what the hell? Do it. It's great. There's nothing more fun than your players being completely overwhelmed and understanding the threat they're dealing with. Like, don't kill them. Don't throw rocks on them or something. Make it something that just says, this villain. Like, make it something characteristic so they're like, hey! Give them something to go, hey! He might not be a player character, but he sure's got character. I don't know. I'm just jabbering. Let's get off here. I gotta play some Okami!